Hi guys, it's Ray, and today is my Valentine's Day live stream special, and as I said, I am going to be making sugar cookies from scratch. I thought it would be better to do the live stream today than actually on Valentine's Day. I'm sure most of you will already have plans, as will I, so I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna go out to a nice dinner like we always do. I get to actually dress up for once. Normally I just wear pajamas, so it'll be nice. It'll be a change to, dress up and look nice. So, and we get to kind of cheat. We get to eat Italian food, which we don't do very often. So, it'll be good. So, moving along, I have been making these sugar cookies for several years now, but I actually got this recipe from my mom, and I can remember her always making these for birthdays, but mostly for Christmas. And she would make these, and then as a family we would decorate them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how to make the dough, and then I'll show you how to roll the cookies out, which will be pretty messy, and sometimes the cookies get messed up when you roll them out, but that's kind of part of the fun. And then at the end, I made buttercream from scratch, which I'll also explain how to make that. And I made it beforehand because you have to mix it for a long time, and I didn't want to constantly be having to mix something on the live stream. And then I will decorate the cookies that I made earlier. That way they're cool enough for the frosting. And then probably eat one and then say bye. So in the meantime, you guys are welcome to ask me questions. I'll answer anything you guys want to know. So yeah, so forging ahead. The sugar cookies are pretty basic. They only have six ingredients. Starting with a whole cup of butter. So yeah, and you want to let the butter soften to like room temperature. So I've been letting this sit out since like this morning, and it's soft enough that it can just be, spread right away. So take a whole cup of butter, which is normally 2 sticks or 4 of the little sticks if you end up getting some weird butter that comes in the little sticks. So you cream the butter together with 2/3 of a cup of white granule sugar, which I already measured out beforehand. That way I don't look stupid trying to, measure out the sugar and be like, Argh. Yeah, so 2/3 of a cup, put that with the butter. And then I have my handy dandy hand mixer, which is going to make noise for a second. If I baked all the time, I would probably have one of the stationary, KitchenAid mixers, but I try not to bake a lot because then I eat it. And as you guys know, I make sexy videos, so I kind of have to be sexy and not just be eating cookies. I guess I could just like incorporate in cookies and sex. I don't know how that would work. I feel like there's a niche there for that. I don't know. But okay, this is gonna make noise for a second. So you cream the butter and the sugar together until they're fully combined. This will take a little bit of time, and I normally also use a spatula to get all of the sugar, which I will do in a second. Handy dandy spatula, mix it all around. Oh, see, I'm already making a mess. See, I'm a messy cook. You just want to clean the beaters off the best you can. Normally it gets stuck on there. Eventually all of this will become a big crumbly dough which you put your hands in and mold, so it'll come off the beater. The next thing that you add to this is 1 egg. Normally you let the eggs go to room temperature, but I'm sure on like baking shows they probably are like, yes, they have to be chilled or they have to be room temperature. To be honest, I haven't ever seen a difference between a chilled egg and a room temperature egg with this recipe, but hopefully any of the baking shows out there, they aren't watching this and they don't get mad that I didn't say it should be chilled at room temperature. So, but if you want to be really high speed, I'd probably say room temperature, just so it doesn't cool down everything. Yeah. And then you add either vanilla or almond extract. I always use almond extract because I think it tastes a little bit different, and it tastes different than the normal sugar cookie, which is normally vanilla. And I like almond extract, so. You put 1 teaspoon of vanilla or almond extract, or whatever extract you want. You can use orange, you can use, I wouldn't recommend mint, but I guess if you wanted to experiment, you could. I don't, you know. Yeah. So you just put 1 teaspoon, and recommend like clear extract if you can, but if you get the colored, it shouldn't make a difference with the color of your cookie. And then we combine that. And we use our handy dandy spatula again to mix it all the sides, because you know some of the sides don't get incorporated with the hand mixer, or the if you're using a paddle attachment for your stationary mixer. And then combine again. All right. Let's put this over here. All right. So the next thing that you do is you are going to put 2½ cups of flour into another mixing bowl, and you're going to sift that, so that way you don't have lumps. Normally you sift flour for certain cookies, and definitely if you make a cake from scratch, you want to sift your flour so there aren't lumps in it. So just like the sugar, before I measured this out, that way with flour I definitely look like a stupid person trying to measure it out. And normally how I measure it is I will go into the flour or whatever container you'll have, take your measuring cup or whatever, and then you take like a butter knife and you measure it off. That way it's exact. That's what I normally do. Some people might just like hit it on the side. I don't know. So this is 2½ cups of flour. What I'm going to do is combine that with ½ teaspoon of salt. I'm just using normal iodized salt. I'm sure you could use any type of salt you wanted, just using the normal salt. And then you combine that together in a separate bowl until, you know, it looks like the salt's combined. You can't see it. Just mix it around a little bit until that's combined. And then we just add that to our big mixing bowl. And then you're going to want to do this on low just because the flour might go flying everywhere. So just start on low, and it will slowly start to incorporate, and it will become little lumps of, and then over time it will continue to incorporate until it becomes like crumbly. And then once that you get to that point, you'll get in there with your hands and mix it the rest of the way. You can see the little crumbs starting to form in there. Then take your handy dandy spatula again, mix around the edges. That way you get all the flour incorporated. This part's kind of messy because like the little crumbs and flour can go flying everywhere. But we're about to get this entire front like full of flour and stuff when we, you know, roll the cookies out. So my advice when you make this recipe is to have not cleaned your kitchen beforehand. Because you will have to clean it again afterwards. So I would advise making the cookies and then cleaning your kitchen. Unless you're super clean like baker, but I don't know of anyone who is. So. Alright. So keep combining this until all the flour has been combined. You can't see any more of the white. It looks like this off yellowish, crumbly, cookie. And then once that's all combined, we're going to get in there with our hands and start forming our dough. So what my mom always told me to do was to make this dough into 3 smaller balls. That way you have 3 balls that you can roll out. It's a lot easier to deal with 3 than just one big thing to roll out. So get in here with your hands, kind of like you're kneading bread, but you don't have to knead it forever like bread. You just want it to get incorporated and form more dough than just crumbly little things. All right. And then, like I said, we'll form this into 3 balls. That way we can roll it out easier. Let me see. Let me grab this bowl back to put it. And they don't have to be even balls. They just have to be 3. You could do 4 if you wanted it. It's, you don't want to roll this whole thing out at one time unless you have a huge counter. But still, I wouldn't recommend that. All right, just about got all this combined. And you can see it looks like sugar cookies. It looks like the kind you'd buy in the store. I promise you it tastes better. I don't know, sometimes some good people like the, fake store-bought cookies. But I definitely prefer these over the store-bought cookies. They take a lot of work though, making the dough and then rolling them out, but definitely worth it. So yeah, I've made my 3 balls. I'm going to get rid of this. Put this over here. Okay. Alright, so that's basically it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off this area so I can start rolling the cookies out. The recipe does recommend chilling the dough for 4 to 5 hours. Chilling the dough helps it to be able to be rolled out a little bit easier. But my mom always rolled the dough out like immediately, and I have done either chilling it and rolling it out. And there's not too much of a difference. You just need to put something down like flour to help roll out the dough. That way it doesn't stick too much. So now we'll get to the fun part of rolling it out. Let me wash my hands real quick. And I'm going to use, this is a pie mat. This is used to roll out pie dough. You could also just use a countertop. I have also done that before. I can get this rolled out. There we go. And I am going to use a handy dandy rolling pin, but if you don't have a rolling pin, you can use a long glass, plastic glass, anything that is long and circular would work just fine. I would not recommend anything that could potentially break. If it's like thin glass or whatever, I wouldn't recommend using that because you might accidentally be rolling it and then crunch it and hurt yourself. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put a little bit of flour down. And then I'm going to put a little bit of flour on the rolling pin. So here's my extra flour. Okay. Yep. So now we're going to take one of these circular doughs that we made, press it down in the middle. That way you have a good area to work with, because you're going to be moving it and making it smaller going forward and backwards to side until you have the dough all out to the same thickness that you want. So normally I start in the middle. You can also cheat and use a parchment paper. That helps too. That really helps it not stick as much. So you just start rolling. I just use my hands on either side and just start rolling the dough out to your desired consistency. I like them to all be about the same thickness. Some people like thicker cookies. It just really depends on what you prefer. Okay. It's going pretty well. Like I said before, you definitely don't want to have a clean kitchen when you do this, because it's messy and you get flour everywhere. Okay. So you see the parchment paper definitely helps with rolling it out. So now I've rolled it out pretty well. It's pretty thin. Now I have different shaped cookie cutters. They're all Valentine's Day themed. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Move that out of the way. Got all this out of the way. Okay. So like I said, I have all my Valentine's Day shaped cookie cutters. You could use any cutter you wanted. You could even use a circular cutter if you don't have any shaped ones. And then you just start having fun with it. You just start putting the cutters wherever, and you know, now there's lips on there. And now I got little hearts. And I've never used actual letters for the shaped cookies before. So it was kind of fun earlier when I made some, working through the problems of that. And yeah, you just like fill up the space with the different cutters, and then you get your pan close to you. And then I use a metal spatula. Just spatula, yeah. And you just go underneath the dough, slowly pulling it up, and then you just transfer it over to your parchment lined baking tray. And I didn't say this earlier, but you want to preheat your oven to 350. That's what these cookies bake at. Oh gosh, I messed this one up. Sometimes they get messed up, but they taste good anyway. So, and that's like I said, slowly. Oh, I messed that one up. We're gonna redo that one. And then, like I said, you just keep transferring it over. To your parchment lined paper, and then you just redo that again. So you'll just take your dough and you just put it back into a ball, and then you will just roll it back out again. So yeah. Put a little bit of flour. And then we're going to use that parchment paper again, because it definitely helps with the dough not sticking to your rolling pin. We'll try this eye again. We'll try this U. I mean, just have fun with it. You know, even if you have messed up cookies, they taste good anyway. So. You just go slow, you know. And then you just transfer it over slowly. I got the eye this time. And now we have to reform this into another ball. Like I said, these are very time consuming and they take time and you put a lot of love into them, and so you definitely want to do this when you have time to roll them out, bake them, decorate them, and also have time to clean up afterwards. So I will finish this and I'm going to preheat my oven. Yeah, I already had my oven going earlier because I baked some earlier, so it shouldn't take long for it to get up to temperature. But normally that's what you would do at the beginning, is you would preheat your oven. And normally I would not do the rolling on top of the oven because that's going to heat up the dough. But where my cameras are positioned, this is the best place for you guys to see. Normally where I have these trays is where I would do it on the counter, just because as the oven heats up, it's going to increase the temperature on the stovetop, and then the dough will heat up, which makes it harder to roll out. So make a big heart. Okay. And like I said, you just go slow about it, going around all the edges, trying to get it up. Trying to get it up. It's funny. Then transfer. Come on, get off. Get off. Thank you. That one did not want to come off. Okay. So basically you continue this process until you have rolled out all the dough. I'm going to do one more time. I can just roll this out with my hand, make it thin enough. Make one more cookie. And then what you can do is, after you've done this, either you can combine this with the other two dough balls you have that are yet to be rolled out, or you can put them on the pan as scraps and they can just be eaten however, or decorated, or whatever you desire. So that one got real messed up. Oh well. Okay. So now you can see kind of how you roll out the dough. You can cheat certain ways. You can put down the pie mat, you can use flour, you can use the parchment paper so it doesn't stick, or you can flour the rolling pin. And really just go slow with the rolling pin, rolling out the dough until the desired thickness of the dough you want. And then you take your cutters, you cut the dough into different shapes, and then you take a metal spatula or a spatula that you like, and you slowly get the dough up and then put it onto the parchment paper. So we're going to move on to baking the cookies. And while they bake, I will answer some questions. And I rolled these ones out earlier, so when I baked my other, so we'll start with that. So they go into the oven for 8 to 10 minutes until they're like set and kind of golden on the top. You don't want them to get too done or they're just terrible, so. This has to get up to temperature, or it will be very bad. So I definitely should have turned that on earlier. But in the meantime, any questions that people had? I had people ask me questions earlier today, and I will answer those tonight as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so first question we have here is, how did you get into doing porn?
So I got into doing porn. So my background was always gangbangs, doing recreational events, and I had about 500 gigs of just fun content. And I started putting that out on sites like FetLife and other swinger sites, and I got a great reception. People loved it. They were like, "This is awesome. It's great to see you doing this." And I was like, well, maybe I should start doing this more openly. And about 2 years later, here we are. So, yeah.
When is your website going to be out?
So we are in the final stages of testing the site right now. I am going to be going through the site tomorrow, making sure everything looks good, everything works, all of the tiers and everything have what they need in them. But we have gotten the green light from the payment processors that is going to work, and that has been done. So I'm hoping on Valentine's Day that the site will go live, but I'm not going to make any promises until I have thoroughly checked the site. And yeah, well, there goes the timer. I'm going to put both of these trays in. Okay.
Okay, the next question, what are some of your hobbies?
So I like baking. I like cooking. I usually bake or cook. Well, I don't bake very often. The only time I get to bake are like special occasions like Christmas or like Thanksgiving, because like I said, I love baking, but I don't like eating all of it. So it's like, who do I give these baked goods to? Maybe I should just start giving them to people in need. I don't know. But cooking, I cook almost every day unless we go out to eat or we DoorDash, which we do more often than I would like. But yeah, I usually cook something pretty good for dinner, I think, anyway. So my other hobbies are, I love my pets. I have 5 of them, 4 cats and a golden retriever, who keep me very busy and are lovable and cuddly. And I love to paint on canvases. So one of these days I'll do a live stream where I'm actually painting, and you guys can see kind of what I do and the type of art that I actually do. So, and the last hobby I'd say is probably exercising. I exercise 6 days a week. Right now I'm doing like endurance lifting, which is like 10 to 12 reps at a lower weight. That way I can just tone my muscles up. I'm not trying to get big or anything, but yeah. Those are my hobbies.
Okay, the next question is, where do you see yourself in 20 years from now?
That's a really hard question. 20 years from now, I'd like to, well, no longer be doing this, hopefully, because I will be really old. I'll be like one of those gilfs or something. But if I was to stay in doing this, I'd potentially love to have a production company. But I'd say for myself, I want to be doing what my professional education. So I want to be a physician assistant. So I'd like to be practicing and close to retirement 20 years from now. So yeah, and hopefully married to the guy I am now, but still married to now. So.
Okay, the next question is, what did you like best about being in the military?
I'd say the thing that I liked best was I learned to grow up and learned a lot of great attributes. So when you join the military, basically you learn discipline, you learn resiliency, you learn all of these things that you need to just grow up, especially at 18. And I also got to learn how to motivate soldiers, how to lead them, all of these necessary skills that I need now to even do porn. How do I set up a shoot? How do I get other talents? How do I coordinate all of that? Now that I was in the military, that definitely helps with me being able to coordinate all of that successfully. So.
Okay, the next question is, how do you deal with negative comments?
Well, personally, for me, I just block the person or I just don't think about it. But sometimes, like, what they say hurts pretty bad. So, I generally don't get negative comments. And normally, if I do, like, he normally counters them before I even see them sometimes, which is really nice. Like, he'll block the person and I won't even see the comment. So that's really nice of him to look out for me like that. So, yeah.
Okay, the next question is, will you be doing more VR content?
Not right now unless I shoot for someone who actually does VR. The way that our camera setup is built and the money we've invested into it is not for VR. It's just for normal 4K videos. But maybe eventually once the website's up and running, things are going well, I could potentially start incorporating that, but that's very long term. And I'd say you have a better bet of seeing me shoot for someone who has VR than me be shooting my own. So.
Okay, the next question is, if you were to start your own adult film production company, how would you go about doing that, or have you ever thought about doing it?
Well, for me, I would probably start my own woman-run gangbang production company. So if I was to start doing that, I would definitely, work with other local talents or talents near me and start shooting content and having a catalog of videos out there that I have produced. And then you take that catalog and you start, showing it to other talents, recruiting other people to shoot with you, and then eventually you get a big enough name that you can just reach out to someone and they want to shoot with you. But it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of money. So, yep.
Okay, and then one more question.
Okay.
What would you say the difference is between a recreational gangbang and a gangbang that's recorded for adult film or commercial purposes?
The biggest difference, well, I'd say for one, is condoms. Condoms are always used for recreational events. They are not used for when I film. And then recreational events are for fun. There's no lighting involved. There's no, stopping or starting. There's no positioning. There's no storyline. There's no, theme to the shoot. It's just what happens. It's fun for everyone. But with my shoots, everything's planned out from what are we going to do? Is there going to be a storyline? Is there not going to be a storyline? If there isn't a storyline, what positions are we doing? And then, we normally block out 7 or 8 blocks, which one block is a position, and we hold that position for 2 to 4 minutes, and then we go on. But it's a lot of starting and stopping and uncomfortable positions that look good for the camera, for the angles that you guys want to see on film, versus the recreational events are just for fun, and I just get cummed on a lot because guys feel good. So, yeah. I'm going to check on these. Okay. They're looking good. Yeah. Well, I'm still waiting for the cookies to come out. I am going to clean these beaters off because, like I said, I made my buttercream earlier. I am now going to re-whip that buttercream, cut it in half, dye half of it with red food coloring, and then decorate the cookies that I baked earlier. So. So I'm going to re-whip this up, but before I do that, I'm going to tell you how to make the buttercream. It's pretty simple. It's only 4 ingredients. So the main ingredient of buttercream is powdered sugar and butter. So there's 1/3 cup of softened butter in here, and then 3 cups of powdered sugar. So it's mostly sugar. And you mix that together, and then you add 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. They say to use clear vanilla, that way your buttercream doesn't change to a weird brownish color. You definitely don't want that. And then you want to use 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk. You slowly start to incorporate the milk and the vanilla into the sugar and butter mixture until it has become a frosting-like consistency. If you end up adding too much milk or it becomes too liquidy, then you can just add more powdered sugar. And then if it's not the frosting or spreadable consistency, you add more milk to it. So I'm going to re-whip this up. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take these cookies out. Yeah, those ones are done. On the top. Those ones got a little done, but that will taste good. Those ones need to go a little longer because they are on the bottom. Okay. Okay. Gotta get another little pot holder thing. Okay, now I'm gonna get rid of half of this. You can see how it's spreadable. Okay, so put that over there. Now I'm going to use handy dandy food coloring. I bought this today, so I gotta open it. I'm just gonna use red because you know it's Valentine's Day, so. And you just want to put a few drops, nothing crazy. You can always put more color in, but you can't take it out. So keep that in mind. Probably want to put a little bit more in there. I gotta check on these cookies. These cookies are like big, lots of things going on. Okay. All right. Now, what did I do with the spatula? Okay. No, that's not what I wanted. Alright. We're getting close to decorating cookies. Okay. Alright. And I baked these earlier, so now what I'm going to do is just frost a few of them, and then unless you guys have anything else for me, I will call it a night. So all you do is take the frosting that you made and put a thin or thick layer depending on what you like. I mean, the cookies are already kind of sweet, so you know, you don't want to go crazy overboard. And then before the frosting ends up drying, you can take sprinkles or just frost them. Probably should have opened this before I started. And you just take the sprinkles and you just sprinkle it on whatever your heart desires. And then you just keep going. I'll frost this eye here. And you can put anything you want on these cookies. I mean, I like them just by themselves, but you can frost them with it, put any sprinkles. You can put chocolate chips. You can put Red Hots. You can put any kind of candy you desire. Hey, hon, can you open that? I can't get it. That's why he's here. He helps open things for me. Just joking. Thank you. And then you just frost the cookies. And I'm going to use some white frosting now. Never heard of white lips before, but they're usually red or pink. But we'll go with white. And like I said, you don't even have to put anything on them. You can just eat them, or you can frost them, or you can put anything your heart desires. But these are meant to be fun. They're meant to, you have fun with it. Do with your family, do with your kids. Do with your significant other if you can handle each other in the kitchen. Yeah. So really, that's all I got. Now I got a whole night ahead of me of just frosting cookies, I guess. So, yeah. So unless someone's got something for me. Does anyone have anything, hon?
Mm-mm.
Well, then that's what I got. Bye! I'm gonna be here all night. Come back.